stuff on here. Flex trap behind with left to right. Okay, so let's have the blocks, if you have them, and your blanket, your chair, your pillows, all that good stuff. If you happen to have a strap or anything that you can use as a strap, like a long towel, or an actual exercise strap, that would be great too. All right, and let's get started on our back. Or no, I know some of you already get down on your back, but let's start seated. Let's just do something different. Okay, I'm going to sit up on my pillow here. You don't have to have your legs like this, but you could. Okay, you can have them any way they feel best. Maybe take an inhale and then just exhale out through pursed lips. And again. And then this time, or the next time, let's inhale once through the nose, short, and then again through the nose without breathing out. So it looks like, and then out through the mouth slowly. And we'll do that again. So you get every last bit of air out. 2 short inhales through the nose. And then long out through pursed lips. One more like that. Good, and then just let your breath be, noticing how you feel, noticing where you're making contact with the floor and with your own body. So you can even move a little bit to feel those contact points. Maybe wiggle your toes or rock on your hips a little bit. And then looking around your space briefly, just letting your eyes kind of travel around, noticing things that you might not typically notice. You can even name them to yourself. And then letting them rest on one spot. And just feel your breath go in and out. And you can breathe in and out through your nose, or you can continue to breathe out through the mouth if that works better for you. And just noticing how you feel today vitality-wise. So like, how much energy do you have right now? Is there an area of your body or your mind that feels really vital and alive? And is there any area of your body where you could let go of tension? Good. And then let's just slowly turn the head side to side. So you could inhale to one side and exhale to the other side. And again. And then when you get back to center, let's inhale, lift the chin and look up, and then exhale, lower the chin. Look down just as much as feels okay. And again. Good, then coming back to center. Now let's gently lean one ear down to the side and back to the center, and then down to the other side. And just noticing as you're doing all of these, are you limited in any way? Is there any tension or pain anywhere? Good. Coming back to center now, let's inhale, squeeze the shoulders up, and exhale, just sigh out the mouth, let them drop, and repeat. So inhale, squeeze up, exhale, drop. Good. And then how about inhale, squeeze your shoulder blades back and your shoulder heads back, and then exhale, relax and repeat. So inhale, squeeze them back. Exhale, relax. A couple more times. Good. And now let's roll the shoulders up and exhale, take them down the back. And again. Good. Now let's inhale, open up the arms wide. And as you exhale, let's wrap right arm on top of left, taking your hands around the body. And then inhale, open wide, maybe even lift the chest a little bit. And exhale, wrap. And you'll see I'm rounding my spine a little bit too. Let's do that one more time each side. Good, then let's come back to the center and bring the fingertips down behind your back. You can, if you're against a wall, just scoot away. And we're going to try to roll the shoulder heads back, lifting the chest. It's okay if you have to lean back to do that. And pause here, exhale, and then inhale again. And exhale, release. Okay, let's straighten out the legs in front. Now, if this is really hard for you to do because you're really tight, you can always put your blocks or a rolled up blanket below your knees, okay? Otherwise, you can prop hands behind your back or have furniture there. You're gonna inhale, pull the toes toward the shins, and exhale, point. And again. Good, and now rolling the ankles. See if you can roll the ankles without moving the knees around. So you could, always put your hands on your kneecaps to check, and now roll them the opposite direction. Good, and then just let your ankles be still and pause. You can put your hands wherever they feel best. Inhale and exhale. Let's come onto our hands and knees. Now, if you need to pad the knees, you can. If you can't bear weight on the knees, you can be seated. You can also put your forearms on blocks. We're gonna do cat and cow pose first. So we'll inhale, tail lifts, chest and belly drop. Exhale, round. The back of this goes up toward the ceiling, and repeat. Let's come to the center. And if you have blocks, let's take the blocks and place them on the low level, and then we'll put the forearms on the blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can put your forearms on the floor. And we're going to try to keep the spine in neutral and retract the shoulder blades, drawing them toward one another. And then press your elbows into the blocks and protract them, spreading them apart without rounding the spine. And you can also let your neck be at ease as you try to do this. And if you're new to this, some of you have been doing this with me a lot, so you don't need this instruction, but if you're new to it, you might sit and do this first. So you could just have your arms out in front of you and try to inhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together without elevating. So not drawing them up by your ears, but just straight back toward one another and then push them apart. Okay. You could also do it on hands and knees if it's easier for you, if you're having a lot of trouble on the forearms. Okay. If you've been doing this a while, you could do a couple more. Good. And now from here, we're going to Get yourself so that your hands are on your blocks if you have them, okay? And we're going to sit back. Your knees could be a little wide. Sit back toward your heels and then come back up. And we're just going to come in and out of child's pose like that. So you sit back toward the heels, see how that feels in the front of your hips there, and in your arms as you let the head drop, and then rise back up. Now, if this bothers your knees, you could always put a blanket behind your knees, between the knees and the calves there, right in the joint. Or if it bothers your hips, you don't have to go back as far, just see what feels right. And now if you can stay back there, you can go ahead and stay back there. So I just might need to move my blocks closer. You can have your hands on the blocks. If that's too intense, you can just put your hands on the floor instead, okay? You don't have to have them on the blocks. Let's take another breath there. Right, and now let's rise up and you can get your blocks out of the way. We're going to come down onto our bellies. Now, if it's hard for you to come down onto your belly for your feet, for your ankles, you could roll up a blanket and put it below your ankles in the front. Okay, and we're going to work a little bit more with strengthening the back body. And I'll have you watch me at first just so you know what I'm doing, and then you can do it, okay? So the first step is we'll have the hands on top of one another with the elbows out to the side. And I'm going to have my left hand on top first, okay? Then I'm going to pad or rest my forehead on the backs of my hands. Now, at first, all I'm going to do is inhale, lift the elbow up, and exhale, bring it down. Lift the elbow up and exhale, bring it down. So you can do this now with me. And just notice, how does that feel? Do you have stuff going on in the back of your neck or shoulder that makes this difficult? Just notice what you're experiencing. Good. And now let's switch and have the right hand on top of the left and do the same thing. So now the right elbow will be lifting and lowering. Inhale, lift it. Exhale, lower, and repeat. Good. Now, this next one might be a little harder to see. So just watch me for a moment. What I'm going to do is this time, and you don't have to have your head like this, but this is how I'm going to have mine. I've got my hands so that my arms are making like goalpost arms. My palms are facing the floor. And what I'm doing, and it might be hard to see me, but I'm trying to retract my left shoulder blade. I'm drawing it toward my spine and then letting it flop down. So I'm looking toward my left as I do this. It doesn't matter where you look. Let me see if it helps with my sweater off. So I'm drawing it back. I'm not elevating it up toward my ears. I'm just drawing it toward my spine and then bringing it down. And you might not be able to get your brain to figure that out, but just do what you can, right? So not on the floor. It looks like this. I'm retracting, bring it down. I'm not going up here. I'm going straight toward the middle and then relaxing it down. So give this a try about 4 or 5 times, focusing on engaging the muscle between the shoulder blades and then totally letting it melt and relax toward the floor. Good, and then we'll do the second side. So after you do several on that side, you can turn your head or not. And same thing. Lift, bringing the shoulder blade toward the spine and then dropping it back down. let it really melt on the way down, or not melt, but what I mean by that is just kind of relax. Good. Okay, and now we'll come back to the arms stacked, and I'm going to have my left on top. Now watch this for a moment. This time, what I'm going to do is rest my forehead on the back of my hand like I did before, but I'm going to press down with my opposite arm, the right arm, a little bit as I start to lift my head as though my head were on the platter of my hand. But notice what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to extend my neck. So I'm not doing this. I'm trying to use some other muscles along the sides of the spine to come up and down where my nose still faces the ceiling and I'm not getting crunched up in my neck at all. I'm bracing down with the opposite arm and just noticing, how far feels okay to go and can I actually relax my neck muscles. Good, and then switching which hand is on top, we'll do the same thing on this side. So forehead rests on back of hand. Going to inhale, engage the glutes as you lift, and exhale, come back down. Remember, head is on the platter, which might be hard to do if you're used to over engaging your neck. Just soften your jaw. Good, and then come down. And now we're going to do one more thing, working on all this area too. Might need to watch it here too. Now, some people have trouble tucking their chin a lot, which might propose a problem to try to do this. So just check it out. I'm going to tuck my chin so that my forehead's on the floor and my nose doesn't smash. Then my hands come out to the sides like a wide push-up. And all I'm going to do is push into one hand to roll my head to look to the other hand. And same thing. It's actually not to the other hand, it's to the same hand. So when I press into my right hand, my head rolls to look to the right. Don't think about it too much, actually. Just think you're trying to roll your head side to side without using your neck muscles. You're instead using your hands on the floor. Good. Good. Then come to center and let's come into Sphinx pose. So up on forearms, your elbows could also be wide and be lower like this. Okay. Let's pause here. So notice right away, are your shoulders up by your ears? Does it feel okay to move the shoulders away from the ears? Good. And now can you engage your glute muscles? Those are your butt muscles there. Press the pubic bone down. And you might just put a little engagement into the lower abdominals. And then notice where your head wants to look. And you could try a little bit of neck movement, keeping that engagement through the arms and the glutes. Might just bring the chin forward. Might even look up if it feels okay, depends on your neck. And then exhale, go very slowly as you start to take the chin downward and notice how that feels. And repeat. Just go slowly. Going into neck extension and then flexion. Good, and then just in the center, now let's turn to look to the left and then to the right. And keeping broad across the shoulders so we're not twisting like we sometimes do. And then coming back to the center, let's slowly come down. And now we'll bend the knees so the feet face the ceiling and gently let the lower legs rock side to side, and the hips will too. It's like an upside down windshield wiper. Now, coming back to center but keeping the knees bent. We're going to do a variation of a pose that we've done before, but we're just doing it differently. Okay, I'm going to show it on the left so you can see. I'm going to take my left arm up to about like 11 or 10 o'clock. You can pick which angle feels best. And I'm going to try to roll my shoulder head away from the floor. So it lifts up, shoulder blade comes down. Now with my right hand, and I'm going to look to the right, I've got my hand flat on the floor, like a push-up type position. And now I'm just going to start to push into that hand and let the feet start to come down toward the left. I might even take my right hip off the floor, if that feels good to me, to stretch into the front of this left shoulder. If that feels too intense, don't lift the right hip off and just push a little bit and see where the position is for you that stretches into the front of the left shoulder. Okay, so going the other way, it would look like this. I roll my right shoulder head away from the floor, feet come down to the right. For me, I don't get a stretch there, so I'm going to keep letting the legs come around so I stretch the front of that right shoulder. Okay. So if you've already done it, you could do both sides again. And if you haven't done it yet, you could try it now. Okay, so normally I do this with one leg straight and I bend the opposite leg and come over. You can do it that way too, if that works better for you. Okay, so either one is fine, either variation, both legs bent or one leg straight. Just getting the front of the arm and shoulder on both sides without feeling any sharp pain, okay? So don't take it too far if it's intense for you. And then come back to the center after you've done both sides, no rush at all. And then inhale, either back to your Sphinx, or you could even try a cobra pose, which is just lifting the elbows a little higher, engaging the glutes. And then exhale, lowering down and pushing yourself up. Okay, I'm going to draw my knees underneath me and come into child's pose. Okay, if child's pose doesn't feel good to you, what you can do instead is roll onto your back and draw your knees into your belly and give your knees a hug. Okay, so whichever variation is better today for you. Child's pose or knees to belly pose. Couple more breaths. Good. Now from here, you can come up or out of your pose, and we're going to come onto one side. Let's come onto your right side, but just make sure you can see me. So I'm going to come onto my right side. We're going to work on, so we've been so far working mostly on some of the upper body tension, right? Neck, trying to strengthen some of the postural muscles and strengthen a little bit of the back body, right? So we've done that. Now we're also going to work on strengthening some of the muscles on the outer hips in order to help support the hip joint, all right? So we'll come down onto, let's start. You can either come down like this, like reminds me of like a Jane Fonda thing or something, or you could come all the way down onto your arm, or you could just make yourself a pillow, like your block could be below there, okay? The knees are gonna come forward, so they're at like a 45-degree angle to your belly. Now, let's place the top hand on the hips. So the back of your hips or your pelvis here should be straight up and down. So you're not leaning back like this. See how my top hip just went back? I'm going to keep the top hip forward, stacked right over. going to keep my hand here to keep myself honest on that. And I'm going to just open up the top knee and then close it like a little clamshell. So a lot of you might have had these if you've ever gone to PT for various injuries. You might have done something like this. Okay, now if I roll back, then I'm not going to get the muscles that I'm trying to get. So I'm going to keep myself rolled forward, stacking those hips. Inhale as you open, exhale as you close. You might feel it in the outer thigh as well. Few more. And then rest. Okay? You're just going to rest by letting the knee come down. As you're resting, watch me for the next piece. So the next piece is I'm going to do the same movement, but I'm going to be, my starting position is going to be with my top leg and foot off of the bottom leg, so it's parallel. But then I'm still going to open the knee like a clamshell and then close it back to the parallel position, so not all the way down. Parallel, and then open and close it. So when you're ready to do that, join me. Still top arm is keeping you stacked. And then going through these. You can exhale as you open or inhale, doesn't matter. You can even do little pulses. So you can open, 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 open. Yeah, a couple more. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming down to rest. And as we rest, I'm just going to roll onto my back. I'm going to keep my pillow here. My pillow is actually a block. And I'm going to cross the leg that I was just working. I'm going to cross that ankle over the other thigh for a figure 4 stretch on my back. Now you could press the thigh away. So it's my left leg that's crossing. I'm pressing it away with my left hand. That feels pretty good. But I want a little more of a stretch for me. So I'm going to take my bottom leg off the floor and I could either put it on a prop or a wall, or I could clasp behind the leg and breathe. And so now we're stretching out that area that we just were working. Okay, so that's where you're trying to feel it here, breathing. Could even rock a little bit side to side. Following your breath in and following it out. Try to relax around your neck and shoulders as you do this. Good. And now let's slowly release that pose. And you can roll over to your other side. I'm going to flip myself around so I'm still facing you. But either one works. Get your head support, your knees stacked, coming out from the hip at about 45-degree angle, finding your pelvis straight up and down. Behind, you can use your hand there. And then when you're ready, can exhale, open, inhale, close, and my feet are touching. And I'm trying to keep that top hip from rolling back. So it doesn't matter how wide you can open here. And just gathering information, how much can you open in this? How does it feel? For me, I'm noticing that I haven't done this in a long time and I'm feeling I'm fatiguing pretty quickly in these, telling me that, gosh, I need to do this more often. I want my outer hips to be strong because it really helps the whole hip joint area, all the stuff that goes around, because I like to run, hike, walk, right? I want that all to stay healthy. Good. And then when you're ready to, you might be already resting. Go for it. Just rest for a moment. Now I'll remind you, I'm going to demo the next thing. The next thing will be shins parallel as the starting point, still keeping those hips stacked. And I'll be exhale, open, inhale. It doesn't actually matter when you breathe, but I come back to the starting point and repeat. So you can start those whenever you're ready. And you can do some of your pulses as well. Kind of starting from the up point, go a little out and back up. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then coming down, pausing. And when you're ready, coming onto your back for our figure 4 stretch again. You can reach that right leg up or whatever leg you just did, cross the ankle, then use the same hand to gently press the thigh away. This might be enough for your body, or you might put the bottom foot on a prop or clasp behind that leg. When I clasp behind the leg, I'm sticking the right hand through the little hole between the legs and clasping behind. And try to relax through your neck and shoulders. Having a pillow behind the head can really help with that. And breathing. So just finding where is a good place for you to experience this stretch. And you might rock a little. Or what I mean by that is how deep you want to experience this stretch. Following it in and out with your breath. Good. And then as you release, come down to the floor, uncross the legs. You might bring both knees in now. You can stretch both legs up toward the ceiling for a moment. Just kind of roll the ankles around. And then bending the knees again, you can either put your feet on the floor, roll to your side and press up, or you could curl up into a little ball and rock yourself up to a seat. Good. Now I'm going to come into a side seat position. So I've got my right leg forward. Okay, it might look opposite to you. Got my right leg bent in front and my left leg bent behind me. If this does not work for you, if this causes pain, you could bring the legs in closer to one another and see if that works. And if it doesn't, you could use props, or you could come onto your back or onto your arms and windshield wiper instead, like this. Okay, so that's another option. Otherwise, I'm in the side seat here. Okay, right leg is in front, and I'm going to take my hands behind my back, try to keep my feet grounded, lift the knees up and put them down on the other side, and then repeat. I'm just going back and forth. And when I go to one side, I fully come onto that hip. Okay, now you could do this with no hands as well. Or like I said, you could be windshield wipering, so they don't have to go down all the way, right? They could be here, okay? So just a lot of options, okay? Can even twist around when you get to one side, put one hand down, reach the other arm around, and then do the opposite. Good. All right, let's come back to the front and straighten out your legs. Again, you could be seated on something if it works better. You could even sit on your block, okay? Now what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to try to push my hands down into the floor, inhale, and exhale, see if I can lift a leg off the floor and then bring it back down, okay? So I'm gonna inhale, exhale, lift, inhale, bring it back down. Now, ooh, I just got a little quad cramp. If you get a little quad cramp, yeah, I can see you did too. Just give them a little punch and massage them out. So you're really working those quads, right, to initiate the straight leg. And then when you come past 90, you're using your hip flexor muscles, but one of those is a quadricep muscle. Okay, one is also a quadricep muscle. Okay, so you could sit up tall, inhale, exhale, try to lift, right? Inhale, exhale, try to lift. Just trying to go side to side. Now, if your back is hurting, this isn't working, sit against a wall or a couch. And if you can't get anything off the floor, just do the best you can, okay? Just get it as much off the floor as you can. Okay, now bring them back down, just wiggle side to side. We're gonna come onto our knees, and you can pad your knee. You might need a chair or a piece of furniture on one side. I'm going to bring my right leg forward, left leg back. Now, if you can't bear any weight on that left knee, then you'll need to do this with, excuse me, that was loud, with your feet off the floor. You'll have to have something on your side like this. We're gonna do it this way in a moment too. Okay, but we're gonna start this way. Okay, so now I'm going to tuck my tail under. Right, and right away when I do that, I start to get a stretch through here. Okay. Now you can push, if you're not holding on to anything, you can take your right back of hand and push it into the inner knee of your right knee. Okay. And then you can take your left arm up, stretch it way up, keep the tail tucked. Just stretch up, up, up toward the ceiling, or you could even lean a little bit to the right. Keep tucking the tail under, engaging your back glute. Again, breathing. Good, and then inhale back up. Exhale, bring the arm down. Switch sides. If you're needing to turn around to hold the furniture, you can do that. So left leg forward. Show it from this angle. Okay, so I'm going to tuck the tail under, find a stretch in here. Okay, now if you're not holding onto the chair with your left hand, you can put the back of the hand into the inner knee and reach the right arm way up. You could stay like this, or you could lean a little bit to the left and breathe. Good, and then rise up. Bring the arm down. Okay, now you can use your block, and if you don't have a block, you could use a piece of furniture or a stool. How high your block is going to just depend on your body. Okay, I'm going to show it with mine on the high height. and I'm going to come back to my first position. If you can't bear weight on your knee on this side, you're going to do a standing quad stretch or baby dancer pose like this. Okay, so you can be here using a strap or not. But if you're okay to bear weight, what I'm going to do is come back to my position, and this time I'm going to take my back foot and put it on my block behind me. Now, if this feels too high for your foot to go, then you could put your block lower or use a smaller object back there, okay? Make sure you don't have knee pain on the floor, so you get enough padding there. You can hold a prop if you want. I'm going to do the same thing of tucking my tail under. Okay. Whew, good. And really stretching out the quad. So now what I'm going to do is kick my foot into the block strongly. If you're standing doing quad stretch, you could kick it into your hand. So kick it down. 1, 2, 3 as you draw your pubic bone up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now see if you can lift your foot off the block for a few breaths. And then put it back down. You might get a hamstring cramp. You could just stretch it out if you do, right? Work that out of there, right? And we're gonna do it again. Push down into the block for a count of 1, 2, 3. Keep drawing the pubic bone up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then see if you can lift the foot off the block for 1, 2, 3. And then back down. Good. Let's try the other side. Okay, so we're going to bring that leg back and the other leg forward. Back foot goes on your block or your standing quad stretch. Okay, I'm going to tuck my tail under, lifting my pubic bone up. Back glute is engaged. I'm going to kick my foot down into the block for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then try to lift my foot off the block for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down, kicking it into the block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then try to lift it off the block. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. And release. Can move your block out of the way. If you're standing, you can stay standing. I'm going to come up off my back knee and stretch back, hands on chair or other prop into a modified downward dog pose. Now stretching out the legs, stretching out the torso. Good, and then slowly walk towards your chair or your prop, bend the knees, and inhale, reach up as you stand up, and exhale, arms out to the sides and down. Good, all right, so finding yourself a strap of any type or something long, okay? It can be a stretchy strap, it can be a static strap. Gosh, I sure am missing a lot of my props here. I don't know what I've been doing. I must be taking them home. So I've got a stretchy strap, but it could be a typical yoga strap too, or a scarf, whatever you got. So we're gonna do just a little bit of flossing of the shoulders. So a little more back to that upper body. We're gonna inhale, go up with your strap, and you're gonna take your hands as wide as you need to take those arms back behind you, and up, and forward and back down, right? So going up, mine stretches so I can stretch it wide, but if you've got a strap that doesn't stretch or a clothing item that doesn't stretch like this, you just widen the arms, right? Good, now another thing you can do here is go up. Ooh, I just smacked myself in the head with the rings of the strap. So see how I've got just a diagonal? So I'm doing this diagonally up and back, right? You're just kind of moving, it's flossing the shoulders, right? You're moving them in different directions, through flexion of the shoulders to extension of the shoulders. Even go around the world here. Right, just moving all around. Good, and then when you're ready, let's let that go. You can throw your strap down, kind of shake out the arms a little bit, shake out. All right. Now, I just realized, I think we did the standing version of that psoas stretch and hip flexor stretch. I think we might have just done it just last week, or maybe it was the week before. We'll do it briefly, just in case when you couldn't bear weight on your knee, you weren't sure how to do it. I'll show it now. Okay, so you're gonna have your chair on one side if you need it for balance, and let's bring right leg forward, left leg back. Okay, and now when I bend, I'm going to bend my front knee and my back knee. Okay, as long as it doesn't hurt the back knee to bend it. But notice my knee's coming down kind of below my hip as best as I can. I'm going to tuck my tail forward. Okay, now I've got a stretch in here. It's different than the one I felt on the floor. Okay, and I inhale, reach my left arm up. I might just stretch it up, or I might exhale and lean a little bit to the right while still tucking the tail. Then inhale back up. And exhale, straighten legs and come down and switch sides. So now left leg forward or right leg back, bend. And I'm just showing this so you see another way to do the pose. Bend both knees, tuck the tail forward, inhale, right arm goes up. You could leave it up, or you could, and exhale, lean, or you could just stretch up. You try to feel your back glute working. And inhale, come up, and exhale, step forward. Let's stand for a moment and notice. Following breath in and following it out. Maybe do a couple shoulder rolls. Feel your toes on the floor. Notice your breath. Good. Let's do a balancing pose here. Let's do tree pose. You could hold on to something at your side, or you could take your back against the wall. Okay, get yourself a focal point. And when you're ready, inhale, bring the right leg forward or the knee forward. And you could turn the knee out and keep the foot on the floor like a little kickstand, balancing on your ankle, or you could go higher up to calf or even up higher than your calf. You could bring the palms together if you want, or even stretch them up toward the ceiling, whatever you'd like to do. Try a few breaths there, letting your eyes be soft. Good, and then when you're ready, come on down. And we'll do the other side, just step a little bit side to side. And when you're ready, left knee can come forward, and it can stay forward or it can turn out, okay? And stay lifted out of that standing leg hip, lifted up through your center. Can take the arms any position. Having your focal point softly held. Good, and when you're ready, coming down. step a little bit side to side and let's swing and twist. Just letting the arms flop around. And we'll make our way down to the floor for resting pose for Shavasana. You could choose any variation of the pose. Could get down there in a way that works for you. Or if you prefer to be seated in your chair, you could do it that way too. I'm just going to talk you into it. Getting yourself warm. You might want to cover your eyes or put props, pillows beneath your knees. The point is to feel comfortable so that you can practice letting go. When you get there, let's take a couple of long exhales. So you could inhale through your nose and then exhale long out the mouth through pursed lips. And again. Or you could do a sigh long. Feeling for letting go of as much effort as you can. As though you could sink into the floor below you a little bit deeper. If you notice your mind really busy, let's see if you could try to take a sigh and let it settle into the background, all your thoughts, as you notice your body lying here.